Broadcasting live from the mountains of Montana, get ready for an hour of pure, unapologetic conservative talk radio. Liberals beware, because this is the Wise Conservative Show.
Hello and welcome to episode 123 of the Wise Conservative Show. A lot has happened and is continuing to happen as we speak. Campaign season has really amped up. Senators are going everywhere. Congress is out until after the midterm, so pretty much all of them are campaigning at this point. President Trump is going pretty much everywhere, making sure that the election goes how we want it to. Barack Obama is campaigning, Joe Biden is campaigning, Hillary Clinton is campaigning. So it is in full swing with just 2 weeks left, less than 2 weeks now, until the midterm election. But coming out today, something kind of big actually happened. And I'm sure you've heard of it because it was everywhere. But, explosives were sent to a few people. I believe Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Eric Holder, CNN's office. So it was definitely aimed towards leftists in this recent spar of explosives or chemicals sent to people. It's very similar to what we've seen sent against Ted Cruz, the White House, the Pentagon, except that was ricin just a couple weeks ago. Now there were explosives sent. And Donald Trump is doing everything he can to try to unify a bipartisan support to find the people who did this and bring them to justice. Because while leftists never condemned their own for sending ricin towards the Pentagon, to the White House, to Ted Cruz's office, Democrats never condemned that. While they didn't condemn it, Republicans have gone out of our way already. Elected officials and pretty much everyone has gone out of their way to already say that this shouldn't be happening, to say that political violence is never the answer. Well, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer came out today in a joint appearance today to make a statement saying that because the president has, in their own words, has long approved of political violence, that everything that he says today, calling for bipartisanship, calling to find and investigate into what happened, who did this, and why it's happening, that because in the past he's had a history of approving political violence, in their words, that nothing he says matters. They pointed to remarks by the president that he gave here at a rally here in Montana just last week. He praised Greg Gianforte, who, if you don't know, is the Republican congressman from Montana who body slammed a reporter in 2016 or 2017. I forget which year it exactly happened, but he body slammed the reporter, and Trump praised him, calling him a tough cookie, and his frequent criticisms of CNN, Trump's frequent criticisms, are drawing people to believe that he actually supports this. And that's what Schumer and Pelosi were trying to say, saying that he's already hopelessly biased against CNN, that he's hopelessly biased against Democrats. And so while he's calling for bipartisanship for bringing this person to justice, it doesn't matter, because in the past he hasn't liked these people. They also invoked Trump's initial response to the 2017 rally in Charlottesville, where Democrats are still claiming that Trump didn't condemn the KKK protesters, even though we all know they did. I played you guys that clip way back then of Donald Trump saying that he condemned both sides of that rally, of Donald Trump saying that he condemned both the leftists and the rightists, the extremists on both sides. And Democrats are still clinging on to the fact that he didn't condemn those on the right, when he clearly did. So just this year, on the anniversary of Charlottesville, actually, Trump tweeted out, "We must come together as a nation. I condemn all types of racism and acts of violence. Peace to all Americans. And of course, I don't remember if I talked about it on the show or not, but Democrats were up in arms saying that he doesn't actually believe this, and they brought up his response to the year prior. Well, today they're basically doing the same thing to Donald Trump trying to unite the nation. Schumer and Pelosi said, quote, President Trump's words ring hollow until he reverses his statements that condone acts of violence. Time and time again, the president has condoned physical violence and divided Americans with his words and his actions. Expressing support for the congressman who body-slammed a reporter, the neo-Nazis who killed a young woman in Charlottesville, his supporters at rallies who got violent with protesters, dictators around the world who murder their own citizens, and referring to the free press as the enemy of the people. Schumer and Pelosi then added that they, quote, salute the heroism of America's first responders as they work to counter the outrageous mail bomb attacks. So, I want to break this down for you guys here, because their statements here is basically the campaign strategy of Democrats going into the midterms. Basically throw everything at Republicans, everything at Trump, and say, we hate you, so you can't do anything right. That's what's happening here. And they're saying that the president has condoned physical violence and divided America with his words and his actions. I'd like to reference Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to Maxine Waters, saying that Republicans and administration members need to be surrounded and let known that they're not welcome. Or Hillary Clinton saying that they can't be civil with Republicans. Or Eric Holder saying when they go low, we kick them. Now, I don't remember the last time I heard Donald Trump saying to surround a liberal and attack them. The last time I heard Donald Trump not condemning bombs or ricin sent to someone in the mail. I don't remember the last time Donald Trump said that we can't be civil with Democrats. Donald Trump is trying to heal the divide in our nation. Donald Trump is trying to bring our nation together to have bipartisanship. And Democrats are still being petty. They're still acting as if Donald Trump is this evil person that can't do anything right, that everything he does is to discriminate and to offend someone else. Even though Donald Trump, in his initial press response right after the attacks, and even in the rally that I believe is still going on or just recently ended, Donald Trump has constantly said that this shouldn't be happening and that we must come together and unite as Americans. And then there's Democrats who have never condemned the attacks on Republicans and in fact have embraced the attacks on Republicans. There's Democrats who have urged people to attack Republicans and those they disagree with. There are Democrats who embrace Antifa, who have brutally beaten people who they disagree with time after time. There are Democrats who urged Black Lives Matters to attack police officers, to ambush police officers, to kill them. There are Democrats that don't back down from these outrageous and hostile claims. Yet they still blame Republicans. You see, it's not the GOP that's being hostile. It's not the GOP that's been unleashing one of the most vicious and unwarranted attacks that any election has ever seen. Whether it's the race in New York, California, Texas, here in Montana. Every time I look into a race, I see vicious and brutal attack ads. Very vicious attack ads from people on the left. And I never see anything nice. I never see any normal campaign ads where they're just talking about what they can do. The Democrats' entire strategy lately has been to demean and attack conservatives, Republicans, Trump supporters. And yet they think that Republicans are the dangerous ones. You see, Republicans don't support this kind of thing. Republicans don't want this kind of thing to happen because we want our nation to be safe. That's the whole reason why Donald Trump was elected. Because he is the only person that will actually deliver on his promises to keep America safe, whether it's at the border, whether it's abroad, or even just economically safe, with tax cuts, with cutting regulations. And for some reason, the left can't seem to realize that Americans want safety and Americans don't want hostility. They don't want more polarization. CNN, MSNBC, the entire DNC have constantly added to the division in America by calling Trump supporters deplorable, by saying that they shouldn't be allowed in restaurants, at gas stations, and a grocery store, in their own homes. Democrats have taken pettiness, divisiveness, polarization to a whole new unwarranted level that our nation has never seen before. What really strikes me is the fact that Democrats took their time, Pelosi and Schumer, they took the time out of their schedules, out of their campaigning, to focus, which I guess this was sort of campaigning for them, but to focus on calling out Trump for his violent speech in the past, which wasn't violent speech. Calling out Trump for him not truly wanting bipartisanship, and saying that he's the one that's in the fault here, instead of actually talking about the massive migrant caravan that is coming towards the U.S. because of policies that Democrats have put into place and because of Democrats not allowing border security. They're completely ignoring the fact that this caravan is coming to the U.S., focusing on something that's not even true. Now, if you want to actually decide for this election, if you're still on the fence somehow about who you're voting for, just look at the fact that Democrats would rather divide our nation more than talk about the safety of Americans, than talk about our border security, talk about how we have people coming in masses to illegally immigrate to our nation, to break our laws. We don't know who these people are. They're not vetted. And we don't know what their intentions are. But Democrats are unwilling to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about that more coming up after the break. Because, guys, this is a big issue. This caravan is really growing in size. Don't go anywhere. This is The Wise Conservative Show. Hey everybody, Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from The Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. And we have to continually remember that if we let the wrong people get in power, those liberties can be taken away. We have to remember that government is just a burden on the people, that it's not our savior, that it's not who gives us our rights. People all across America are waking up and realizing that fake news isn't helping our nation. People are realizing that they don't deliver the facts, nor do they deliver the truth. The fake news era is coming to an end, and that's exactly why Patriot News Radio was created. On Patriot News Radio, you have a wide selection of conservative talk hosts, including myself with The Wise Conservative Show. Patriot News Radio streams 24/7 on TuneIn Radio, so you can just go to the app or to the website and stream it. Also, if you have a Google Home device, all you have to do is say, "Hey Google, play Patriot News Radio," and there you have it, Patriot News Radio, right in your own home. Patriot News Radio delivers you the facts and the truth 24/7. Patriot News Radio, where America comes to talk.
Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, the Jason Veely Program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University, or go to prageru.com for all of their latest content. That's Prager, the letter U.com. prageru.com.
Are you having trouble getting a merchant account? Maybe you need an international payment gateway, or you just got rejected by another merchant account provider. No problem. iPayTotal wants your business. Our high-risk merchant accounts allow you to accept all major credit and debit cards. Our Moto payment gateway allows accepting transactions on the phone. iPayTotal delivers payment solutions and products to help grow your business. Contact us now for your payment processing at iPayTotal.com. iPayTotal, your online payments partner.
Calling all young conservatives. Have you ever wanted to write for an online publication? What about host your own conservative radio program? Now you can, thanks to YouthRevolt.org. Youth Revolt is a conservative media network for young people, the goal of which is to educate our fellow Americans, and also to expose the left-wing indoctrination that goes on in classrooms across the country. Become part of a team that is dedicated to taking the country back, one radio program or opinion column at a time. If you're interested, go to YouthRevolt.org and click on Join Us on the top of the page. Fill out our brief questionnaire, and one of our representatives will be in touch with you in no time at all. The time to reclaim our future is now. Be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, and join the movement today. Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There are people in this nation that would have you give up your rights, that would have you turn in your guns. We have these people who are in office, we have these people who are marching in our streets that are walking out of their schools. People who think that your right is not important. On the Wise Conservative Show, we know that your rights matter, and we will tell you the truth about your liberties. We will tell you the truth about all the issues happening and the facts around all of these debates. For your daily dose of conservatism, for your daily dose of the facts and the truth. Tune into the Wise Conservative Show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt. So taking a look at Barack Obama from back in the day, while he was still a senator in 2006, Barack Obama apparently back then agreed with Republicans more than he'd care to admit. So I have an audio clip that has a couple times when Barack Obama was supporting, well, Donald Trump's platform on immigration. Take a listen to this.
We all agree on the need to better secure the border and to punish employers who choose to hire illegal immigrants. We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants.
The bill before us will certainly do some good. It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders, and that should help stem some of the tide of illegal immigration in this country.
So the Caravan, getting back to it, the Caravan is massively growing, like exponentially growing as it gets closer and closer to the U.S. It's in Mexico now, and when it reached the Guatemalan and Mexican border, where there is a rather massive fence, Mexico had deployed police and military to the border to try to stop this caravan. The caravan broke down the fence and just burst through the line of defense that Mexico put there. They just pushed past it like it was nothing. Now imagine that on our border. Because we don't have Democrats calling for border security anymore, and they're unwilling to help us achieve it. Because apparently border security is now racist, even though back in 2006, Barack Obama wanted more border security. Back in 2006, Barack Obama said that illegal immigration wasn't good. And going against what he said multiple times throughout his presidency, hiring illegal immigrants isn't good. Now, I don't know why the Democratic Party changed their stance on this. I don't know why they would ever change their stance on this, because all it's done is put American citizens at risk. We don't know who is in this massive caravan. We don't know if there's terrorists in there. We don't know who in there is a criminal besides for just crossing borders illegally. We don't know what crimes they've committed. We don't know if they've murdered anyone, if they've raped anyone. We don't know if they've done that. And I can guarantee that none of them are going to apply for citizenship once they cross our border. I guarantee that this caravan is extremely dangerous, that is harboring many criminals that'll wreak havoc on our nation. And yet Democrats can't say that it's a bad thing, can't agree that this is a border security risk, a national security risk. Donald Trump has had to call in as many troops as he has to. He's already said that he's going to call in as many troops as he has to secure our border. He tweeted out, "Every time you see a caravan or people illegally coming or attempting to come into our country illegally, and think of and blame the Democrats for not giving us the votes to change our pathetic immigration laws. Remember the midterms." See, Republicans, of course, are going to be jumping on this as midterms approach, because this is just highlighting Democratic failures. Democrats are staying silent on this because they know that they're wrong. They know that this is a national security risk. Yet they won't say that we should probably secure our border. We should probably build that wall that the Trump guy's been talking about. We should probably protect our citizens. We should probably keep our nation safe. Can't say that. And I have a few theories as to why, and I've told you before. Because Democrats want illegals to vote. They want the power that illegals give them. The power to control elections, basically, because with that population, they'll always win. We already see San Francisco has okayed voting for non-citizens in local elections. San Francisco, a liberal heaven, is already doing what we've been claiming Democrats wanted to do for a very long time, what President Obama urged illegals to do in the 2016 election, what Hillary Clinton urged voters to do in the 2016 election, or illegals to do, and what Democrats have urged illegals to do in the upcoming midterms. Vote. But voting is a right reserved for U.S. citizens. And last time I checked, that whole illegal alien thing means that they're not citizens. They're not even here legally. They have broken our laws, had a disregard for the way a nation works and the safety that laws keep in place. These people have time and time again harbored a hatred for American laws. And yet, Democrats want them voting. We don't know who these people are. We don't know whether they will contribute to society in a proper way. We don't know whether they're criminals, terrorists. We don't know. And there's no way to know. There's no way to vet them. There's no way to keep our people safe because Democrats won't support any border security. And yeah, we have a majority. I know that, but there's always going to be those rhinos that will follow what Democrats want. There will always be the Jeff Flakes in the Republican Party. The people who don't want conservative policies put in place. And so, while we do have a very slim majority, we don't actually have the votes for border security, which is very sad. It's very sad that we aren't able to protect our own nation as thousands of migrants are flooding the streets of Mexico as we talk, making their way to the U.S. border to threaten our security. And Democrats, rhinos, they won't do anything. You know, there's a lot of issues with foreign policy that have led to these migrant caravans. Whether it's actually leftist funding like some people are claiming, or whether it's due to foreign policies that we've implemented over the years, I don't know. I don't know if it's because we have interfered way too much in other governments in South America, which we have. And there are many people in Congress, such as Rand Paul or Mike Lee, that have tried to stop this kind of thing. I don't know if it's because of that, if it's because of George Soros or insert other billionaire liberal here that has funded political events in the past. I don't know. All I know is we have to find a way to keep this from happening in the future. We have to find a way to protect our nation. And if we make it so that we aren't interfering in other nations as much as a solution, then that's just a win-win. But Democrats don't want that to happen. There's a lot of Republicans that don't want that to happen. And so we're stuck in a dangerous place. But the most useful solution is to secure our border and to protect our citizens right at the line of defense. Our border. That's the only way to protect our citizens completely. And Democrats have to get on board, or else our nation's just going to be vulnerable, and our citizens are going to be vulnerable, and it's going to be a very bad time when these caravans increase. Their size gets bigger, their frequency gets bigger. There's some more tough choices foreign policy-wise, though, that Congress definitely has to look at in the upcoming weeks and months once they get back into session. So, if you don't know, Jamal Khashoggi, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but a reporter that was recently killed in Saudi Arabia. There's some decisions to be made in terms of our support of Saudi Arabia and in terms of our friendship, quote unquote, with Saudi Arabia. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said, quote, he can't imagine there will be no response after this incident. He then also noted that there are periodically strains in the American-Saudi relationship. He then asserted that the U.S. deals with the Saudis because of aligned interests in the region and called it a pragmatic relationship. And, I mean, I agree that there are certain reasons that we're in this allyship with Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of control that you can have in the Middle East by having a friend in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of control over oil that you can have because they're one of the main members of OPEC. But time after time, Saudi Arabia has proven themselves to be enemies of the U.S. Whether it's links to 9/11 or this, there's been many instances where either members of Saudi Arabia, citizens or higher-ups, or the government itself has tried to cover up things against the U.S. or blatantly gone against U.S. interests. You see, just as Senator Patrick Lee, a Democrat from Vermont, has said, murder is murder. The Saudi government murdered that reporter, and they tried to cover it up. An American reporter. You see, there's no reason for us to have this relationship with Saudi Arabia, and there's bills being drafted right now by Rand Paul to cut ties to Saudi Arabia quite a bit. Sanction them for their actions. Sanction them for blatantly standing against the U.S. Because they have time after time gotten away with things because of weak foreign policies. You see, Democrats are trying to blame Republicans for this. Democrats are trying to blame conservatives for this because they think it'll help them in the midterms. But the truth is, things like this happened way more under President Obama, whether it was Saudi Arabia or Turkey or Iran. The Middle East had a lot of countries grow in power under the weak foreign policy of President Obama, and now we're facing the terrible issues that it's brought up. Because of President Obama, we're in these situations. You see, Democrats love to blame conservatives for these foreign policy disasters. But Democrats are often the ones that rush to get into these allyships. And it doesn't help our nation. Listen, we should be allies with a lot of different countries, of course. It's part of being such a strong superpower. You have to have allies. But you should never be an ally with a country that wishes you harm, with a country that chants death to America, with a country that burns the U.S. flag. We shouldn't be sending billions of dollars of aid to a country that murders our citizens. That's not how it should be working. Saudi Arabia shouldn't be getting away with this. They shouldn't be able to do whatever they want. Whether it's cutting ties completely or sanctioning them for the time being. There has to be some repercussions for their actions. And let's hope that these midterms bring around a new, passionate form of congressmen and senators so that we can actually get something done, because it's unacceptable. All right, I wanted to come back to domestic issues, to the election a little bit, specifically here in Montana. So, for those of you who don't know, I know I've talked about this a little bit on the show, but not too much. Our current senator, one of our current senators, is a Democrat. His name is Jon Tester. He's running for re-election, and his Republican opponent is named Matt Rosendale. Now, as I've said before, Tester is running a very dirty campaign and not really stepping down, and it's kind of crazy. You see, Tester is one of the people that is the reason why Admiral Ronnie Jackson withdrew his nominee to run the VA, because Tester brought forth accusations against Admiral Ronnie Jackson, accusations that he knew were false. He basically started the Democratic tactic that they used in the Kavanaugh hearings of bringing up these accusations that have been proven false and running with them, saying that they're true, and smearing someone's life, someone's complete name, because you disagree with them politically. That's Jon Tester. He started that tactic. And as Matt Rosendale recently tweeted out, quote, he invented the smear tactic that the Washington Democrats are using. Dianne Feinstein perfected it when she came out and performed her character assassination on Judge Kavanaugh. Donald Trump tweeted about Jon Tester, saying, quote, the only thing keeping Tester alive is he has millions and millions of dollars from outside liberals and leftists who couldn't care less about our country. And what's crazy about Jon Tester is the fact that he is currently the second most receiver of lobbyist funds in Congress. He used to be number one. He was just recently overtaken. And he's from Montana. You see, it brings up a really important issue of the way the Democrats look at you, say that dark money is bad, or say that we have to fix the VA. We have to fix all of these, insert issue here. They say it. Then they go to Washington. They take some dark money from lobbyists. They smear the person that's trying to fix the VA, and they don't do anything. Because their entire platform is anti-Donald Trump. They might say that they're trying to fix things. They might say that they're going to go to Washington and support your interests. But once they get there, the only thing they're doing is following whatever Chuck Schumer, whatever Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, whatever they tell them to do. Whatever the head of the DNC tells them to do. And that's always going to be 10 out of 10 times the exact opposite of what Donald Trump wants. We saw it today. Donald Trump wants bipartisanship in finding someone who sent explosives. And Democrats couldn't even get behind that. So, again, if you're on the fence somehow, remember how much Democrats have blatantly lied, how they're still embracing the stereotypical politician ways of looking you dead in the eyes and lying about what they're going to do, looking you dead in the eyes saying they're going to help out, when the only thing they want to do is go against our president and go against the will of the American people. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, there's a rather unshocking, surprisingly, study about millennials and college students. Don't go anywhere. This is the Wise Conservative Show. Hey everybody, Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from the Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. And that's how a government should be run, folks. You can't legislate based on emotion, based on morality. You have to legislate based on the truth and the facts. It's something that Democrats seem to have struggled with, and it's something that they continue to struggle with when it comes to the immigration debate.
Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, the Jason Veely Program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University, or go to prageru.com for all of their latest content. That's Prager, the letter U.com. prageru.com.
People all across America are waking up and realizing that fake news isn't helping our nation. People are realizing that they don't deliver the facts, nor do they deliver the truth. The fake news era is coming to an end, and that's exactly why Patriot News Radio was created. On Patriot News Radio, you have a wide selection of conservative talk hosts, including myself, with the Wise Conservative Show. Patriot News Radio streams 24/7 on TuneIn Radio, so you can just go to the app or to the website and stream it. Also, if you have a Google Home device, all you have to do is say, "Hey Google, play Patriot News Radio," and there you have it, Patriot News Radio, right in your own home. Patriot News Radio delivers you the facts and the truth 24/7. Patriot News Radio, where America comes to talk.
And that, class, is why America is the worst country in the history of the world.
Are you sick of your professors telling you lies?
Now remember, children, if you're white, it means you're privileged. Don't ever forget that.
Do you sit through class convinced that your head is going to explode at any given moment? Sounds like you could use some backup. Visit youthrevolt.org for exclusive content produced by young conservatives for young conservatives. Youth Revolt features a dedicated team of radio hosts, political columnists, and video bloggers, all of whom are 100% committed to taking back the future of this country. So what are you waiting for? Tune out your Marxist professor and visit youthrevolt.org now.
A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There are people in this nation that would have you give up your rights, that would have you turn in your guns. We have these people who are in office, we have these people who are marching in our streets, that are walking out of their schools. People who think that your right is not important. On the Wise Conservative Show, we know that your rights matter, and we will tell you the truth about your liberties. We will tell you the truth about all the issues happening and the facts around all of these debates. For your daily dose of conservatism, for your daily dose of the facts and the truth, tune into the Wise Conservative Show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt. think we can all agree that a large majority of our nation's youth are brainwashed liberals. From year one in school, we know that liberal indoctrination does take place. Well, a study came out that, 1 in 4 students have PTSD after Donald Trump's presidential win. The study was released on Monday of this week by the Journal of American College Health. Now, not a large sample size, but it did evaluate 769 students at Arizona State University studying psychology. Now, it got this data during January and February of 2017, so right after the election. About 25% of the respondents reported symptoms of PTSD because Donald Trump won the election. The lead author of the study said, "What we were interested in seeing was, did the election for some people constitute a traumatic experience? And we found that it did for 25% of young adults." Now, this author, Melissa Hagan, is an assistant professor of psychology at San Francisco State University. Now, I've looked at a lot of studies that encompass the thought processes, the research tactics, and pretty much just life as millennials and young Americans. And it's gotten to the point where something like this doesn't surprise me anymore, which it used to. It used to be kind of scary that something like this would happen. I remember quite a while ago, there was a study that I brought up and that I read where it said that the number one news sources for millennials was BuzzFeed, Instagram, and Twitter. And they didn't actually look at any actual news sources. They just looked at what this liberal, BuzzFeed has no facts whatsoever. And Instagram as a news source is not good. And it was about that point that I realized that there's just a lot of people that don't actually know what they're talking about when it comes to what's happening in our nation. A lot of these millennials and people younger than millennials, because I actually recently just found out that I'm apparently at the front end of the generation after millennials. So whatever they're going to end up calling that generation, it's the same way, though, in my generation. So millennials and this current generation that's going through college, they don't take the time to look at whether something is true or not. And through years and years of their teachers and professors telling them something and acting like it's a fact, telling them some liberal propaganda, and telling them that it's the truth, after years of this and this indoctrination and them being too lazy to look up whether it was true or not, we have a couple generations of so many people that are socialist or just completely brainwashed. We have these people who, I guarantee that 1 in 4 of these students did have PTSD because they're that brainwashed against conservatives. There's universities that it hasn't happened in a while, but Mizzou with the safe spaces and the snowflakes freaking out. It's just crazy the amount of young Americans that think that anything a conservative says or does constitutes a meltdown, constitutes a complete shutdown of that person's freedom of speech. And it carries over to college campuses across the nation because of this ill-advised thought process that they're using, where if they disagree, it's going to ruin the world. Where if they don't think like I do, the world will explode because I've grown up in this protected world where teachers and professors have told me everything to think in the past, and all of my fellow students were liberals along with me. So I can't think about anything else. Their thought process is kind of scary. But when I see that 1 in 4 students have PTSD after the election, yeah, that doesn't surprise me anymore because of the brainwashing, the indoctrination, the years of conditioning that these leftists have gone through to become as liberal as they are, as extreme as these young Americans are. That's why we have people like Ocasio-Cortez running for Congress, because of people like this. And it's just going to get worse the longer these people are being brainwashed by liberal professors and teachers. It's not going to stop, folks. People are continuing to become more and more snowflakes. All right, that's all for today's episode of The Wise Conservative Show. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. You can find The Wise Conservative Show on iTunes, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, and more. Go ahead and like The Wise Conservative Show on Facebook to keep up to date with the show. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and as always, God bless.